G'day, hi and welcome. Something making noise over there. Probably Marvin. Who knows? Who knows? All right, well, it's Saturday, the 31st. Also, it's pretty cold. It's been so cold. It's a hint of wind out there. It's like only minus 15, but that wind just cuts through you like crazy. And it's like, ugh, ugh. It's carnival day today, though, so my cousin's going to be playing at the hall tonight. I haven't seen him since last year when he played. So that should be fun. Sorry, I can get the frost out of my beard. I was gonna cut this off for tonight, but I'm like, well, whatever. Yeah, I'll go scraggly. I'll go scraggly because it's like I want to cut it off, but it's like when it's cold out like that, it's like I'll cut it off in the spring. Like this, it's amazing when you're walking in the wind. Like this saves my face. Like you would live. I always have my freaking ski mask on there. If not, your eyes dry out so much. It's painful. Oh, I forgot to put my dish of Rono back in the cupboard. Reading a lot of books. I started the Tom Clancy one there yesterday. That one. Something bad happened under the water, but I'm not sure what yet. And I read it. Guys, I'm not sure, but this book is this one's really good. If you like I already know who the killer is. It's one of those, I guess they got to catch the killer. I'm only like a couple of chapters in, I think 2 or 3 chapters in. But it's really well written. The Sword of Kagan, I made it to 200 pages last night. Like I put a real big push on that. So that's where I'm at with the Sword of Kagan. So I've been reading that one really since the 1st of January, but because I had to finish up the library books, I didn't really get into it more than like 2 pages a night till I got to about the 15th, right? And from the 15th, I've been reading like 10 pages or whatever, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. I mean, it depends what I feel like doing, right? So today I do want to do some other stuff. So yeah, Fridays are usually my big read day, where I try to read as much as possible. I read 8 books yesterday, out of 8 books yesterday. Uh, I'm still working on the Bible there. That's the big one. So, but that one's going to take me forever. It's like 1,500 pages, right? So, really it's more like 6,000 pages when you think of it, because the book's about 4 times bigger than a normal novel, and the writing's the same size. So it's like, yeah, when you read that, it's like you read 2 pages, you've really read about 4 or 6 pages of a normal novel, right? So it's pretty, yeah, you get your money's worth, that's for sure. Let's see if I can do some recording today. Tomorrow I gotta work at the school, get paid. I gotta pay my rent today, so this will be my 5th month of rent paid. Um, yeah, September, October, November, December, January. Yeah, so January, sorry, February. It'll be 6 months. 6 months that I've had this place. Uh, Water's still out. It's probably gonna be out till spring. But I'm not too worried. The only thing is, I don't use a lot of water down here. I do a washing every couple of weeks or whatever. I can do it up there, but the thing is with 5 people up there, that's why I've been doing it down here, is not to stress the water too much up there, especially this time of year. Up there though, if you run out, you just you leave it for like a day or whatever, and it comes back. But it's just if you flush the toilet 100 times a day, you know what I mean. Like it tends to run you out of water. We're on well water, right? Deep well, but still. So I got to take a shower up there today for sure. Uh, I was taking my showers down here, but I can't do that anymore until my water thaws out. I'm not even going to bother trying to really thaw it out. Like I'm not going to start taking the well apart. And this time of year, it's like, no, I know what it is. I'm not too worried about the main pipe bursting. I don't think it's going to. So everything's depressurized. All the taps were open, whatever. But yeah, the hot water tank's off. Both tanks are empty. So uh, I guess last week when it froze in that -30 or whatever, that's probably what did it. So I don't think it's going to thaw until the frost's out of the ground, but that could be April, you know, maybe late March. It's hard to say. I mean, I'll try it again at some point, but I'm not going to burn out the pump, knowing that it's like that it's there's about the line could be frozen for 15 feet, right? So 15, 20 feet, or well, it's probably more than that. Whatever it is to the well, 30 feet or whatever. So yeah. So next year I want to put in a coil heater. All the cottages they have it usually because they usually just have a crawl space under the cottage that's not insulated or anything, so their water pipes always freeze. So what they do is they just wrap these little electric cords that basically are heaters. Most people they usually drain everything before they leave for the winter. They drain all the water. So I got all the pipes drained in here. The only place where it's actually froze though is the line coming in. It's happened to my brother a few times too. And whatever, he'd come up home and bring a bunch of water down, whatever. Uh, Looking for vehicles last night. Still nothing. The Facebook Marketplace though, it's like I don't know, something going on with it with the vehicles. It's like you hit the the little category for vehicles, and like nothing comes up. So you have to do like a basically you got to type in car or truck or whatever to get it to come up. But still nothing in my area worth. And what I mean by my area, it's probably like anything within the Quebec side where I'm at, within 100 kilometers or so. Something I can drive at home easily. So it's like, you know, if it's like 200 kilometers, like when I got Thunder, that was on the far side of Masham, and that basically is about 100 miles from here, or 160 kilometers, right? So that was the first run for that truck. It was like, it's like, oh, geez, like spend all that money and you don't know if things are going to last. Like everything's a time bomb, man. That's the worst part. That's why you don't want to pay too much for stuff, vehicles, but used. But on the other hand, like you do kind of get what you pay for a little bit too, right? So, uh, I mean, people don't sell good vehicles when they're good, right? They sell them when it's starting to become they're starting to become problems, you know. Unless they're the type of people that are wealthy enough that they just upgrade their vehicle every 4 or 5 years just because they can. I'd love to be that wealthy, but wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? Um, I don't know. I might have to look at imports for the next vehicle though. Like I know you can't go wrong with a Toyota or a Honda anything. Uh, I don't know if you guys seen that commercial. It's like there's this girl. She's on the side of the road, and there's like a pickup truck coming down the road. Two guys in it, and it's like a really gorgeous girl. Whatever. The hood's up. She's broke down on the side of the road, and the guys are like, oh, right. They're gonna like stop for her. They start slowing down. Then he looks and he sees it's a Honda. He goes, it's a scam, and he floors it. And he takes off. And he's like, have you ever seen a Honda break down? It's like it was a great commercial. Like Honda does come up with some good commercials from time to time. Back in the 60s or 50s or whatever, with the motorcycles, the Honda motorcycles, to separate themselves from Harley Davidson's, because like Harley Davidson had the bad boy image, so like they weren't going to compete with that. So they said, nice people drive Hondas. And of course, you appeal to emotion. Well, I'm the nice person. I'll drive the Honda, right? Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh yeah. Marketing is funny. Like it's amazing what people will respond to, right? So especially now, like you click on one thing and then every ad you see is like that thing. It's like I looked at like some what's called games the other like board games and stuff. I've been looking at see what cool board games are out there because I'd like to get some stock, not just stockpile books, but stockpile some games too. You don't know what the world's going to be like in about a month, right? yeah. Anyway, we'll get into that later. But yeah, so I looked at some of that, and then that's all you see. Or if I go look at guitars, it's all like it's just all the guitars. I went through all the roster of all the new guitars on Long and McQuaid. New basses last night. Like I basically just click on everything, or at least the stuff I'm interested in. I didn't bother going to the Gibson section or the PRS section, but everything else. I checked out all. So Charbel, Jackson, Ibanez. Ibanez has a really dandy guitar that they're coming out with. It's a Sabre model with a rosewood fingerboard and a ash body for like $1,000. And it's got like a nice bluish. Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's value for the dollar. Like that, edge tremolo, all that stuff. Edge 2 or edge tremolo, whichever. I'm like, that's a pretty decent guitar for the money. I'm mainly looking at 7 and 8 strings. Ibanez came out with two really wacky looking 7 and 8 strings, but they're like $2,700. Like I'm like, come on, you're like, come on, and with basswood bodies, like there's no reason for it to be that expensive. Cool, yes, but $2,700 cool. I mean, it would be cool if you're. I don't know. I do like my 8 strings. I like my 7 strings, but I do like my 8 strings too. I'm really looking at like a fan fret for my next 8 string whenever I do get that. But I do got to get acoustic guitars before I get, uh, and I want a 6 string bass as well. But I do got to get, you know, uh, at least another 12 string. My 12 string, I've been playing a lot and just kind of bearing the out of tune, out of intonation thing. And I am coming to the conclusion that the 12 gauge strings that I have on there might be a part of the problem. Because it seems as they stretch, I know this is every 12 string, regardless of gauge. Uh, you got to play them for a bit before everything, the drones stay in tune. It seems like they got to stretch and become a little bit taut before, like that slackness is out of it. Because what happens is when you strum it, it pulls it out of tune because it's too new. So you almost have to play the guitar for a little bit till it like the freshness of the strings are you know uh, stretched properly enough that everything stays in tune properly. That's every 12 string I've ever had, including my double neck. Like it's like, yeah, it's like the first day of playing it. It's just like, okay, yeah, these strings are going to go out of tune a bit, whatever. Once you get them stretched properly, like I mean, the strangely enough, my $200 Oscar Schmidt 12 string, that thing, okay, that was my first 12 string that I bought, and that thing never went out of tune. I mean, it was horrid to play. I had to like take the action down from like that down to that. I had to do quite a bit of work on it. It had a bolt on neck too. Uh, Played a lot of jam nights with it. It was a horrible guitar. The fretwork was pissy, and like that. But you got what you paid for. But it did the job, right? It did the job. People would like watch me play it, and they're like, "Wow, you played the 12 string so good. Like, how can you play a 12 string like that?" And the best 12 string that I've owned was the double neck for sure. But acoustic wise, yeah, like this when my tack when it was brand new was awesome. It was so like it's a great sounding guitar. Uh, Maybe not the best sounding 12 string I've ever heard. The best 12 string I've ever heard was Ricky's. God rest him. He had this. It was an older tack. I don't know when he bought, but it was older anyway. But this thing was like it was super quiet, but it was so it sounded so good. He played that thing every weekend, like that probably had 1,000 shows on it. It was his favorite guitar. It was but I remember playing it. It played not only played well, but the sound of it was just yeah. If you were going to record, that was the guitar to record with for sure. But um, I just want a 12 string that plays really well because I need the playability. Like I know most people 12 strings, they have this weird idea that 12 strings are difficult to play. They're not difficult to play if they're set up right. They're set up right, they play just as good as any 6 string guitar. It's just string bends are almost impossible. But other than that, you can. But like it's a 12 string. You know what I mean? It's doubled up. But the thing about it is that if I need a good, reliable 12 string so that this summer, look, if I only have to play it, if I can only play in the park, if I can't find a freaking vehicle or whatever, like it's not a money issue anymore. It's just it's an availability issue, right? I'm obviously not going to buy something new because like who would fucking afford that? $900 a month for a freaking vehicle. That's crazy. Plus its operational costs. Ugh, I don't know how people do it. Oh, you can get a vehicle for 600 a month. Very rarely. Uh, almost every like a $10,000 vehicle is 600 a month. You know what I mean? It's if you do it that way. So I don't know how much money I'll have left in the spring. Depends how bad my next hydro bill. Like my next hydro bill could be $700, $800. I don't know. If I'm lucky, it's only four, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Down here, it's hard to say. Like baseboard heaters are got to be the most inefficient ways to heat your house, right? So I mean, it's not bad. Like, I mean, I keep the heat at 15, and we've had minus 30 and stuff like that. And, okay, the basement, yeah, keeping the heat in the basement is almost impossible. Uh, like, I could run a heater, like one of those little electric heaters, but the way that pipe comes out, it won't really blow the heat in there anyway. So it's just like, I gotta wait, you know. And I'm not going to hit it with a torch because you can crack a pipe very easily doing that. So the heat in the basement for next year, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got to find a way to get that corner heated up so that it's just everything is gerbiled there, so you can't really set like you can't really set things up properly there. Like if there's like yeah. The only thing I could like again, the only thing I could do is get one of those wrap cords and do that. And those aren't cheap either, but that can come out of my house fund, which maybe the next time I go up to do that, I can start getting that, but just plug it in and see if like it won't do the whole thing, but it might do enough to help warm up the pipe, a little bit more, and maybe that'll be enough to, get it to like if you can just get water flowing, it doesn't have to flow a lot as long as it keeps your impellers from burning. If they didn't already burn out, like I might have to replace the pump because it could have ran all night. Uh, you know, I don't think it did. I think what happened was that was right when the water ran out, and yeah, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, no vehicles. I don't know what vehicle I'm gonna end up with. I do kind of want a truck again. Obviously, I'd love to have Thunder fixed up. But if I did get a car and then took my time fixing up Thunder, it's still worth fixing up. It's just it needs everything now, right? Like it's needs the brakes. Like my brother, he just did his brakes in the fall, and sure enough, he blew a brake line, right? I guess the way it works is, when you get your vehicle, if you're going to do the brakes, do them all. Brake line, it's super expensive. Like, I mean, it's usually worth more than what the vehicle is, right? You'll make it back, but I mean, if you're going to spend $3,000 doing a brake job, I mean, and brake lines and everything, that's a big freaking. Even if you do it yourself, you're still going to be spending about 1,500 to $2,000, whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's just parts cost. Even Rock Auto is like, like parts are, especially for trucks, like truck parts are just like stupid expensive. Um, yeah, they're definitely not giving it away. So it's always the question of, is it worth fixing up? Like I know a lot of you guys are like, right, just fix this up, just fix that up, but it's like 5 times what I paid for the vehicle. You know what I mean? And like it would be different if you knew everything was rock solid. Like let's say okay, you got a vehicle and there was no hardly any rust on it, and it was just the consumables like the suspension parts and whatever. Uh, next thing you know, it's like you know, like for example, Jesse, his Challenger, that thing's in mint condition, right? But he went to, for example, get new winter tires put on and something else. He was expecting to pay $300, and he was going to get a wheel alignment. And he was like, the guy's like, no, there's no point doing the wheel alignment. You need this. You know what I mean? Like all the suspension stuff, right? So there's like $2,000 right there, $1,800 right there, right? But it's worth it because the car's, you know, like the engine's immaculate, the body's immaculate. Yeah, then it's worth it to put money in. I mean, everything's a time bomb. You can do that, and the engine blows right away. But or your transmission goes, or what have you, right? Yeah. So it's like whatever it is, getting a vehicle that's worth putting money into is it's a hard vehicle to find in the first place. So you buy the vehicle, you drive it for 2 or 3 months. Okay, it's fairly reliable. Everything's running good. You've done all your oil changes. You've done all that stuff. Okay, now you start working off the wish list. Okay, start saving up for the brake job. Just start doing it. If you're lucky, like for me, the nice thing about around here is because there's not a lot of stops. It's just pretty much all rural highway, right? So I eco drive. Like I never tramp on the pedal. I'll let traffic go and then just pull it nice and slow and just let it ease up to the speed it needs to go to. I always do the speed limit, but except for the wintertime, I'm like back it off a bit just because don't want to crash and stuff, right? Night driving, I slow down a little bit too. Like again, I'm a sensible driver. In that sense, right? I don't abuse my vehicles. I clutter the shit out of them, in that sense. But I don't I don't race them around and do burnouts and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is that even eco driving, like eco braking, what I do is I let off the gas and just let the thing, like if there's people behind me, like it's like okay, well I'll just let off the gas, let the thing coast down. If you know when to let off the gas, by the time you get close to the stop, you're doing like 40 kilometers an hour when you touch the brakes, and you barely have to touch them, and you save your brakes, right? Where other people like my dad, he goes through brakes like crazy because he breaks at he's a boomer, right? So he breaks at the very last minute. It's like, full throttle to the speed limit. Okay, full brake. you know, what I mean? Kiss the dash. There you go. Just hang on. It's up to you. But that's the way all the boomers are. Like they have to be tight. They drive tight to the next guy. They have to be like 30 feet behind the bumper, and it's like full gas to go. It doesn't matter if anybody's coming or not. You full gas to go. And when you come to stop, just it's like when you're driving work boots, it's like that, right? Like all the time, right? And then you burn out your brakes fast. Where me, it's like eco braking, eco accelerating, whatever. Get the best mileage I can. When I get out on the highway, well, okay, yeah, where it's 100 or 110, I'll just do 100. You know what I mean? Like if it's 110, okay, I'll do 110. But like if it's a truck, I'm doing 100. Why? Who the fuck can afford to drive at 110? It's not I can't handle the speed. It's like who I can watch my freaking gas gauge going down. Like at 110. Wow. And there's guys like that with trucks all the time. They must be making good money because like when they're driving like 110, 120, 140, they're not supposed to be, but they'll pass you. They're doing that fast. I'm like, in a full size truck, how do you afford that? Like, like as soon as you get over 90 kilometers an hour on a V8, you notice it. A V6, same thing. Like a V6, most V6 trucks and V8s get the same mileage. It's just the V6 revs a little higher. Typically, it has bigger pistons, right? So it's the V8. And trust me, guys, they've done tests on this where they've done like oval track where they've put like the same type of truck, but with one with the V8, one with the V6. Mileage is almost identical. So why would you buy? That's why they're not making these little 4-cylinder like the Ranger anymore. It's just okay. We'll just give you the F-150 with a couple engine, 3 engine options. You can have the 4-cylinder, the 6-cylinder, the 8-cylinder. Now, a Ford Ranger. My dad's is a V6. John's, I think, is the 4 cylinder, and I remember I think it's a 4 cylinder, and it's an F-150. His truck is really nice. I've driven it a couple of times. I think it's a little bit newer than my dad's, not by much. My dad's is a 2013. That truck I like. That truck is a really nice truck to drive. You can see good out of it, everything like that. The only thing I don't like, it's a modern truck, so the back window's too like if you know like if that like if the mirrors are great on my dad's truck. That's one thing I really like about my dad's truck. Which I've come up with a name for my dad's truck because it's great. Like remember Pops, you know the little Mazda B4000. We're gonna call this one Gramps. It's like why not, right? No, because I was driving it the other day, and it's like like again, it's I only borrow it just to real quick, whatever. But that truck, well, it's a limited edition version, so it's got like the leather seats with the red pinstriping and all that. And it is a really nice truck. It's got the actual backup cam is not on the dash; it's in the mirror. It's a little thing like that. It works good, except for in the wintertime, like everybody that has these backup cams. You can't see out of them because there's ice on it. And the windows are like this big, so when you go to turn your head, like you're better off just to back up with your mirrors. Like it's like my uncle's little canyon there. That thing drives nice. Good luck seeing out like the back windows like this high, or something like that. It's like whereas on Thunder, even though the cab's a little bit bigger, you could still see out of the back window pretty good because the window's like that high, right? Freddie, my red Ford, that thing was like a freaking watchtower. You could see like almost straight down. Like it was great. That thing was awesome. To date, I still say Freddie was the most comfortable vehicle truck I ever driven. That thing was just a big bench seat there. That thing was just like a freaking, oh man, it was so comfortable. And I guess because it had the 8 foot box or whatever, it was the wheelbase was probably a tad bit longer than your normal rate cab or your normal what you call it crew cab, and that truck just rode so nice. It drove like a car. Like for a full size V8 truck, it drove like a car, and and especially with the overhead cam engines, like they were really smooth, right? I still have my uncle's truck. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that this year. I got to get it. What I got to do is I got to like build a maybe a shed or whatever, something that I can actually where I'm not working on the ground, where I can actually go in there, heat it up during the winter. I would love to have enough room to put the 2 trucks in there and the motorbike, and enough power that I can run a heater in there or whatever, or put wood heat, a little wood stove, whatever's in there, right? That's fine too. Keep it cheap, and have enough room so I can get the vehicles in, but more importantly, be able to completely strip them right down and work. Like if I could get, like for example, like obviously I have to put what you call it. Thunder on jacks to get all the suspension stuff done. Because there is some suspension stuff that has to be done on that truck too. But to do all the brake lines and get underneath it, I'd like to be able to jack the vehicle up at least 4 feet or something like that. Maybe a little higher. Just find a way to jack it up really really high so you can work underneath it, right? Put some sort of a lift in there or whatever. It could be a manual lift. That's fine. I don't care how it's done. There's manual crank lifts that you can get for vehicles that you can, that don't cost a gazillion dollars, and that would be the best. Just crank it up, pin it. Remember there was a garage. I didn't work at it, but I kind of like friend worked at it, so it helped once in a while. And we'd always end up on the manual hoist, and it was just you just like drove your vehicle on, and you just put your crossers wherever they had to be, and it just side lifted it, and you could live. I think it lifted something like 5 tons or something like that, 12 tons or whatever. So you couldn't lift a dump truck with it, but any pickup truck was fine, and yeah, so there's that, right? That's what I'd like to have. Like it doesn't have to be a 16-foot ceiling, but enough that I could get a vehicle up high, right? So maybe a 12-foot ceiling, that's fine. Then you could work underneath it. I could strip down. Plus it'd be a dry space for my vehicles to sit in, so they're not just going to sit there and rust and rust and rust. I could leave. Like, okay, oil spray everything, put it in there until I can get to it. I could start restoring my uncle's truck. That would be fun. Like, again, maybe I'll never get the money to do that, but like, it's is what it is, right? Like, my dad does have a sawmill, and if I do fall enough trees, I can, make my own lumber to build a shed if I want. Like, I don't care what the shed's made out of, just as long as it's a place where it's warm and dry, and I can basically work on things in the winter because that'd be fun, But again, we'll see. We'll see. The other angle is that like, again, whatever, like, I am going to get a motorbike this year. The thing about motorbikes, okay, the sport bike is a different thing, but I want a cruiser. I am going to fix up that bike again whenever I get money. I don't know if this will be the year, but we'll see. Like, it's like, again, things, when Pegasus broke, my TT600 there, my Triumph, when it broke, okay, parts were still available and cheap. That was 2018. Okay, yeah, I know. Where does the time go? That was 8 years ago. Like, it's been 8 years since I rode that freaking bike. I can't believe that. And at the time, like, the money was just so hard coming in, and then again, vehicle breaking after vehicle breaking. That's why I never have money to fix stuff like that. And then, of course, 2019 on, I started my guitar buying and all that stuff. Right now, I'm good for like electric guitars. There's nothing on the market right now that I have to have that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of wish list stuff, but it's like, okay, there's maybe about four more guitars that I would like to have in the electric category for now. But they're guitars I can absolutely do without. It's like, my guitar collection is second to none, right? Now I got to, like, the drums, like, I'm good enough with that drum kit for probably the rest of my life. I would love to have a double bass drum set up, but that's good enough for now. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing I want to do for now with that is to start adding like cymbals, because I've only got the one cymbal and the hi hats, right? So I'm going to do stuff like that, but getting the PA system, getting the three acoustic guitars, I could probably do that this year. It's going to be expensive, but I could do that. Getting the guitar amp, the bass amp. I got to get another laptop. Something that's current. I've got to get memory storage. Like, there, and then tools. I got to get another chainsaw. Well, I don't have to get another chainsaw, but I'd like to get one more big chainsaw, and then the backpack blower. Then after that, it's a riding mower, which I'm going to need a riding mower for here anyway. So my push mower, I just got to kind of clean it up. I'm going to wait till the spring before I start doing the, like, when it's like +2 or +4 outside. That's what I'm going to be working out on the garage there, or on the well, I call it my garage, but the veranda. That's what I'm going to work on, the whippersnippers and stuff like that. When it's like it's warm enough to do so. Like, so all that stuff, like, I still got to set that up a little bit more. Like, I'm still in the cleaning process or whatever, but like in the springtime when I do the next big round of cleanup around here, getting rid of all the scrap metal out of there. The large waste pickup in the spring, that's going to get rid of like a ton of shit. The property will be pretty spick and span. Like, it's going to be pretty clean. Like, I mean, just the stuff I cleaned. Well, you guys saw all the cleaning that I done down here, right? And then I still got stuff up at the house. I got my dad's place. I got to get all that scrap metal, get all that. I'm gonna have a good. Well, if I have a truck in the spring, like, even if I found, even if it was a little bit expensive, um, if I found even an F-150 with a 4-cylinder in it, I prefer the six. But let's say I got the 4-cylinder in it, that would be cheap to run most of the time, and I could do what you call it, scrap metal with it. It's just I'm not going to be pulling more than a ton at a time. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna work it like I did Brutus, and like Brutus, what I was pulling like 2.5, 3 tons every time I take the trailer. You know what I mean? Like, like I mean, I loaded the shitballs out of that poor Brutus there. Like, Jesse and I were talking about him the other day. It's like he goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "I remember the time my mom and I were driving that truck and the freaking the drive shafts fucked up and blew the transmission. All that there was a new transmission in that truck. Like that truck, Paul put a lot of parts on it. Like he drove the shit out of it, right? And I got that truck for 1,500. I think I had 3,400 into it all in, and I got a year and a half out of it. You know, but that truck was all character, right? So like it was like it was a cop magnet just because it was so rough looking and all dented. Like I love the character of it, but it was just like okay, yeah, that thing. Like every cop will look at it every time I go by, you just hear the exhaust manifold off. You know that ticking sound there, the Hemi tick as they call it. But yeah, like even if I had a full size truck with a 4 cylinder in it, that wouldn't be so bad. Um, the only thing is I think I have to go with a Toyota Tundra or something like that because uh, I love my Dodge Rams. I do. And I'd love to have like a newer Dodge Ram. The blue one with the blue bumper, the blue like blue bumpers. Yeah, I love those matching paint, matching grill, everything like that. But the problem is that if I get an American vehicle, I don't know what the parts availability is going to be for American vehicles 2, 3 years down the road. There might not be available at all. You know what I mean? Like we don't know. Just because we can get it now, it's hard enough to get stuff now. Like we're still dealing with part shortages from 2019. You know what I mean? So I don't know, guys. Like I really don't know which way it's going to go. So what I'm thinking is, with Toyota, those parts. The problem with the Toyotas is they don't break down very much, but when they do break down, the parts are import parts. Like we consider up here in Canada, we consider like Dodge and Chrysler, Ford, GMC, Chevrolet, Pontiac, Jeep, all that. That's considered domestic up here, right? Uh, Everything else is considered import. Like BMW, Volkswagen, whatever. Now, if I get a car, well, it'll be what it'll be, right? That's the cheapest way to go. Another Honda Civic. Like those things are. It's just I like to get something that wasn't so deadified. Yeah, poor silver pellet. That car was. It was again character, eh? Like it was distinctive, the freaking trunk flapping down the road. I had to climb through the window a gazillion times because the door would lock. Get all screwed up. I finally figured out how to undo it and everything like that. It was an easy fix, but it was kind of a pain in the ass crawling through the side of that small car. But for such a small car, I got like 500 pounds of tools in it on a daily basis. That was crazy. Uh, the Dodge Avenger, I love that car. That car was awesome. Like it was roomy. It was had a V6. All that. No, if I can keep it cheap, that's great. If I can't, whatever. A minivan would do me well. It just like the thing about minivans and stuff like that is their suspension are not their suspensions are not built for like heavy pulling and stuff like that. You can pull a little bit with it, you can load them up. It's a bit heavier than a car because it's meant for like 6 passengers or 8 passengers or whatever. But once you go above the weight of like say 1,200 or like a half a ton, you're starting to work the suspension a little bit harder than what it was intended for. Uh, that's every van. That's every van except for like a full size van. And I'm not going to buy a full size van. Uh, when I could buy a truck for the same price, right? So yeah, I don't know what I'll end up with. I do like the V8s. I just can't afford the V8s. That's the problem. Like it's just they're, if I want to go anywhere, it's too expensive, right? But the 4 cylinder, whatever. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Because like Paul drives his big truck pretty much all winter, right? His is a 2017 Ram 1500. Okay, so he drives that all winter, just because it's so a lot of times he'll take his car if the weather's nice, but most of the winter he tends to drive the truck just because you get, especially this winter we've gotten a lot of it's like not a lot of snow at once, but it's just constantly snowing and the roads are always bad, right? So he does that, but in the summertime he's pretty much in his car, that little Honda Civic. He was thinking of selling it. I told him, dude, don't sell it. Like, you got a working car. There's nothing wrong with it. Drive it till it dies. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about making money back on it because like just drive it till it dies. Now he's put money into that. He's changed the brakes and stuff like that. But Paul makes better money than me too, right? So like for that car, it's not completely rusted out yet. You know what I mean? I think that one's a 2007. So it's getting to be an old car. You know what I mean? Like whatever. But the thing is like like I could buy it off of them, but it's like you know it would be a great car to get, but it is at that age where things are starting to go more regularly on it. That's why I think he's spending more time on his truck. So it's like, oh, I fix this. Oh, I fix it. Like he's starting to get into the money pit angle of that car. But he does a lot of driving with it. Like, so it treats him well, but it's like, every time you have to replace the brakes, you're a couple $100 to $1,000, right? It's going to need a windshield. The exhaust is completely gone. I can hear him like halfway. Like I can pretty much. He lives like about 15 kilometers from me. I'm sure I hear him starting that thing up in the morning. When he's coming into the town, burp, burp, burp. It's a standard, right? So you hear him double clutching the burp, burp. Yeah, it's fun with it. It is a fun car to drive. I've driven it several times. It's peppy, especially like being a standard. Like you put that thing in third, and you just touch the gas. Woohoo! Fun car. Yeah. Like they say, it's funner to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow, right? So that one fits the bill. My brother's little Elantra Sport that he had there, that thing was fun. It was terrifying to drive because there was no brakes on it. And his Toyota Tercel, that green one that he had, that thing was that was the lightest clutch I've ever, of any vehicle I've ever used. It was just like what? And it was a full clutch, like it was fully engaged, but it was almost like air. It was like, oh my god, this is like, and it's just like you can shift it literally with two fingers. Just it was so nice to drive, but it was a family sedan. It wasn't a sports car, right? Um, and four-door sedan. So, but did it handle? Oh yeah. It's a Toyota like a 2000 Toyota Tercel. Yeah, that thing was like freaking. That engine was ironclad, except for it kept blowing belts after my brother hit the deer because I guess something was out of alignment or whatever. It blow belts, timing belt or not timing belts, rad belts, or alternator belts. Sorry. Like every couple of weeks, he'd blow a belt, right? Just the like he hit the deer. It was a big doe. It basically crushed in the front bumper and everything like that, and busted up the rad and all that. So he had to basically replace all that front end stuff, right? My dad pretty much replaced it all. I think it was built out of like four different cars at that point, but the engine was still rock solid, right? And yeah, so if I could find something like, and he got that for like $1,800, and it was like mint condition, not an ounce of rust on it. It was a lady driven, an older lady that had it, so she didn't beat the shit out of it. And it was stored in a garage, shit like that. Except for it was like a week that my brother had it, and a squirrel went into the quarter panel, and my my dog Lacey, if you remember poor Lacey there, she chewed. This is when she was like about a year old, so she was still in that chewing puppy phase there. She chewed the whole fender. I thought he was going to kill her. Oh my god, he was so mad. She did that to two vehicles. She did that to our vehicle or his, my brother's vehicle, and she did that to my aunt and uncle's vehicle. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, poor Lacey, I miss her. Yeah, she was a good dog. She was mischievous when she was a puppy because of husky mixed with a lab was a kind of a hyper combination. Yeah, she'd take those retard fits there. When a dog takes those retard fits where they just start rolling around and running in circles, and she'd do that a couple of times a day. And then when she got older, she was just kind of mellow and grumpy and whatever. The poor girl. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was a she was a good dog. Yeah, Marley's like our timeshare dog between my aunt and uncle. They're constantly worried that we're gonna steal the dog from her. It's like they'll call us like, "Can you send the dog back home?" 'Cause she'll come over and she'll hang out with my nephew or my brother and my sister-in-law, or whatever. And then we got Meow Meow. Well, she's like she stays out in the shed most of the time, but sometimes she's down here, whatever. I don't see her down here as much now, I guess because the snow's too deep. But she goes under the. She caught a freaking chickadee the other day, and she's getting fat. I don't know how to. Like we feed her like 10 times a day. I'm sure. She comes in. She'll warm up. That'll let her in the morning. Meow meow meow. Missy still doesn't like her yet, but so she's sort of our cat, sort of kind of a stray. She must have been somebody's cat at one point. Whatever. But she's pretty friendly. She gets a little bit skittish, but you can pet her, you can pick her up, whatever. You could definitely feed her. There's no problem there. Um, and then she'll hang out on her deck, and you're meow meow meow. Like she'll come in, she'll go eat, she'll meow a bit, and then she'll go outside, and then she'll go back in the window and start meowing. You go to let her in, she just sits in the window meowing. Like it's that's all she. That's why we call her meow meow. That's all she does is meow. Like I've never seen a cat do that. And it's like it's never anything other than meow 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 meow. Like it's just funny. Like it's like you gotta wonder what she's saying. It's telling you a big story or something. But anyway, yeah. But whatever vehicle I end up with in the spring, hopefully I can hit the ground running and get rid of all the scrap metal here, there. I've got like, if I get a truck, one thing is I've got enough scrap metal between like about 4 or 5 places to pick up that it's probably going to take me a good part of the summer. But there's also the other advantage of having the truck. I can finish up a lot of those tree cutting job stuff. I know I need a truck. Like again, after owning 3 pickup trucks, full size pickup trucks, I know how useful that is. It's just the freaking fuel prices, right? So that's what kills you. So I almost need 2 vehicles, right? I almost need 2 vehicles, you know. And I'm like, well, if I did get a car, like I figure it's going to cost between 4 and 8 grand to fix up Thunder, depending on what the problem with the engine is, right? But that would fix everything, and it'd be safety again. Because that truck still has life in it. But mind you, I might try to sell it for, like for parts or whatever. Like the box itself is worth the $1,500, right? And then I bought something too old is the problem. But the thing is my money, the money I make puts me in the range of vehicles that are, basically 16 to 20 years old. Like that's the price range that my vehicle, that I can't afford anything under 10 years old is like 25 grand, like, and it almost doesn't matter what it is. It's just like, it's ridiculous. The nice thing is cars don't hold their value usually as well as trucks do, but even at that, like, I mean, if you're going to pay $8,000-9,000 for a car that's 10 years old, that's a bit much. You know what I mean? That's a bit much. But I understand it's just the inflation of things. Things aren't getting cheaper, right? Nor will they. I mean, we're about to see things. Your used cars are probably at some point going to start becoming more expensive than new cars. I saw this with Harley Davidsons in the 90s, where the new Harley Davidson was actually cheaper than the used one because the backlog, right? They couldn't build enough bikes fast enough. So people were buying like two bikes and then selling one bike for almost double the price, and people were willing to pay it just so they could get it. And yeah, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, one day they were building like 300,000 bikes a year. You know what I mean? Like, and then God knows what it is now. But the thing is that that's going to take a hit too. You know, what I mean? Like all the manufacturing is going to be taking a hit. It's already taking a hit, but like it takes a while before you notice the actual slowdown. Like you know what I mean? Because there's like it's kind of like everything's like a delayed reaction. So the vehicle hits you see today, right? The full effect is not felt for another 6-8 months, right? So that's why everything's you know kind of kind of there's a delayed reaction anyway. But the used vehicles is where, like, again, finding something good. It's always great when you can buy a vehicle off of somebody that you've seen that vehicle driving on a daily basis, and you know, okay, well, it's at least that reliable, you know, and whatever. But who knows? So I don't know what my next vehicle is going to be. I know I have use for a truck. There's no doubt about that. A car's the cheapest you can usually go. A little 4-cylinder or something like that. You know, like for me, I don't care. Like like I need a vehicle. Like some vehicles are just literally too small, like the Fiats and stuff like that. Like those things are like they're no good for me because I can't even fit a wheat. My brush cutter in there. You know, like it has to be able to do that. You know, like it has to be able to at least do that. There's a couple of HRs around here, like what my client had. Uh, and the thing about it, like, it's too bad because like she didn't think about it. She actually took the plate off of it when she bought the other one. She said, "I could have sold that to you." Like I knew all the like it had a leaky gas tank or whatever, but it would have been a good, another stopgap. Like, but she's like, the most you could put in it was like a quarter tank, and then it was just leaking out the top or out the side or something. There was a hole in the tank or whatever, right? It was rusted out. It was going to need everything, but I would have gotten it so cheap, like $500 or something like that, to the point where it's like, it would have been cheap enough, to just drive it into the ground. Who knows what the next vehicle will be? I can't wait to get the next vehicle because it's just like it's hard not being able to do anything, go anywhere. It's like it's always demoralizing not to be able to have that independence, right? You just got to make peace with it. It is what it is. Yes, it's been 6 months since I've last had a vehicle. I know it's annoying for everybody to pick me up and stuff like that, but I always give everybody gas money and stuff like that to at least do that, right? But the thing is everything, like I give them more money than what I'd actually spend in gas if I had my own vehicle. Like, so if they pick me up and they drop me off, I give them $10, right? But I might have only spent like maybe $4 or $5 in gas. You know what I mean? I don't penny pinch it because it's like, no, they're doing me a favor, right? Like I'm helping them, but they're also helping me. So it's like I always try to be as appreciative of that as possible. Most people are really good about it. They're like, they don't mind, stuff like that. Because I understand, as a grown man, you don't want to be a burden to anybody. And I've always been that way my entire life. Like I only ask for help if I have absolutely no choice, right? But there's also when you're sitting on your sailboat, you got to wait for the wind to fill the sails. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just like that. And, when you're in irons and dead sails, it's kind of like, all you can do is wait for the wind. And that's what it's like for a vehicle. Like, everyone's, well, did you find a vehicle yet? No. Oh, are you looking? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking. But, like, again, it's, you can go and spend your money right away and be back in the same situation 2 days after, right? Like, there's a couple of used vehicles I see that's like the guy will like take a picture from like 10 years ago of the vehicle, and then you go see it and the fucking quarter panels hanging on the ground. Like shit like that. Like that's what's happening around here. So you go look, oh, that looks really nice. Then you go see it and it's like, that's not so nice, There's a dealership like that there I was looking at it, and I nearly bought it too, and it was an '09 Ram. This thing was fucking bumped up. It had a cold air intake on it. It definitely wasn't stock. This thing was like whatever it had for exhaust there. It was a little bit too loud. It was 9,000. I could have actually bought that truck, but there was something really weird with the steering. I don't. It felt like you went like that. It just seemed like it would go forever, and it felt like there was like a hump, somewhere. And I'm like, okay, what is that? Like that. That's not normal. Whatever. Something was. So there was something wrong with it, and I was like, that thing. I think it was like pushing on like something like 600 horsepower or something like that. It was just you touch the gas. I remember because we took it for a test drive, just really quick, whatever. And I said, Paul, you got to try this. And he got it. Oh yeah, it's a truck, whatever. He touched. Whoa! It's like, holy fuck, this thing moves. It's like, yeah, I know. It's like, it's just like, fuck yeah, this thing would break itself. That was somebody whoever had that was a guy that was probably his fun truck. You know what I mean? Yeah, but it was a nice truck. It was all blacked out and everything like that. Had a little cow catcher on the front there. It was quite a badass truck. It was raised up a bit, but yeah, I remember and I'm sure I would have been fine with that truck, but it was $9,000 for something that was, that exhaust was definitely a cop magneted exhaust. It was just too loud. Like, for me, like I'm buying the vehicle as a work vehicle and reliability. I'm not buying a a show truck, right? So nothing against show trucks, but I need something that can work. Like even Thunder with it being raised up 3.5 inches or whatever, kicked out I think 2 inches or whatever. Even that was a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? Like how many times I ripped my freaking crotch out of my pants just trying to get in the box of that truck because it was just so much higher, right? You couldn't lift anything into the back; it was too high. Cool stance on the truck though. No, stock is if it's raised up at all, I kind of almost don't want it just because it it becomes impractical for a working truck. Like if anything, like you don't want to lower your truck, obviously, but you don't want to have anything that like if you can't just put a fridge to the bottom of it and heave it up, heater it up, then like fridges and stoves and stuff like that. Then it's or hot water tanks or whatever. Then it's not going to work for me, right? Because like I'm going to need that, right? But I don't know what I'll end up with. Would like to have another truck, but again, at the insurance costs, the price of fuel, and again, it weighed against the money I'm making. You know what I mean? Like the thing is like you have to understand the cost of living has doubled since 2020, right? In the last past 6 years, it's doubled, but the wages are still the same, right? So, so your money's only half, and then of course, with all the inflation coming in. I know gold finally dipped a little bit, but it's still on the upward trend, guys. That's crazy. That is absolutely terrifying when you realize what that is. But yeah, we'll see. It's going into February. Hopefully, maybe at end of March. The other problem I have too is like buying a vehicle now is like where do I put it, right? Because like to open this up, I'd need a backhoe to open up the driveway here, and then that'd be an extra cost. And, you know what I mean? So I I think I'm going to sit out the winter anyway. Uh, just see, because maybe if I'm lucky, I got a little bit of work each week, so not very much, but you know, hopefully, maybe this month, like February, March, January, February are the slowest of the months. March is usually where things start to, I get a little bit, and then April's where things pick up. But hopefully, I can hit the ground running in April and start to really, put money away and maybe find a vehicle then. I can't do payments because, like it's just the idea that I can't afford the payments, right? Like it's just my money's not consistent enough. Like I only have like maybe $100 or $200 coming in a week at this point, if that. You know what I mean? Some weeks I have nothing coming in this time of year, so it's like the school's been helping me, so I made about maybe an extra $200 a month off the school, if that. You know what I mean? Maybe a little more, a little less. So if I'm only making $200-300 a month, you know what I mean? Like it's enough to hold off the, burning through my money because again, I just sit on my money and pay bills with it. That's it. It sucks. Like you have this money, you can't do anything with it. It's like just bill money. Like tomorrow morning, $600 gone. You know what I mean? Just like that. And then somewhere middle of February, in's going to come the second hydro bill right when you're the poorest time of the year. I'm probably going to get anywhere from $400 to $800 hydro bill, right? That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt bad. You know what I mean? I'm ready for it, but it's still a kick in the nuts, right? So you see what I mean? Like I have no disposable income, even though I've saved up I save up to get through the winter. I call it the squirrel effect, where I take my money and I, basically just store money so that I'm not running out of money in the middle of the winter, so I can pay all my bills. But it's just usually just enough to pay the bills. Not to go and like I can't go skiing, I can't go here, I can't go there, I can't like tonight I'm gonna go out to the carnival, to listen to my cousin's band or whatever. But I'm not gonna be like getting loaded drunk because I got to work tomorrow anyway. But like what I mean, like I'm gonna spend maybe about $40 tops. You know what I mean? And that's gonna be the only other money I spend is like my daily pop and chips. But when I run out of money, I can't even do that. You know what I mean? You say, yeah, but you're buying booze. No, no, no. That's the pop cans are buying my booze. You know what I mean? And I only do that once I have enough pop cans to do it. So the books, you say, oh, yeah, but you're buying books. I only spent $20 on books out of the like 50 or 60 books it's probably closer to 60 books now, 60, 70 books. I have to count them all up. I got most of those for free, right? So that's what I'm doing for free entertainment is stuff like this, that's what I do in the winter. That and the music and stuff like that. I got to get cracking on my song again. Oh, wow. I guess this video is kind of going on. A video about absolutely nothing, but it's always a good discussion. Me sitting here talking to myself like a crazy fool and whatever. So, yeah, there we go. All right, you guys have yourselves a great weekend, and hey, we're going into February. Okay, we made it through January. What a hell of a year. Yeah, January was a hell of a year. Ding ding, round two. Here we go for February. There we go. All right.